Hello there and welcome to the new channel.
Here to help you see
The new you.
My name is Carmine Ortega.
Dennis Calamba.
This is Nato Agbayani.
My name is Juan Lu.
I'm Chino.
I'm Trisha.
This is Apple Manansada.
This is Attorney Carlo Ibanez.
This is Attorney Sheila Santiago.
This is Angie.
This is Argamid.
My name is Dante Salama.
This is Jesse Francis Rebastillo.
I'm Dania Cunha.
Mon Mendoza.
I am Mapet Erhino.
I'm Leo Bryan. Mike.
Nice one, dear.
Sir Al Ian Barcelona.
Marvin Salazar. This is Sunny Haldon.
Heidi Lumainos.
This is Ivan Jude.
Patrick Geronimo.
Alan Perez.
My name is Erwin Ursua.
My name is Bob.
My name is Lloyd Luna and this is
Future.
The Talk.
Family Business.
The Puppet Stories.
After Shift.
PNC Town Hall.
YOLO.
Marketplace.
The Home Buyer.
HR Hotline.
Danny Art Show.
Healthline.
Foreign Affairs.
COVID Stories.
Awesome Day Show.
Thank you.
Money and More.
Cybernext.
Women at Work.
Win Within.
Port Project.
The Big Picture.
Sometimes life lets you down and you feel that you are done. You just want a morning run because the fun is all gone. But sometimes life makes you proud when you look far and wide, when you leave the pain behind and see the brighter side. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you. Sometimes life makes you blind and you choose something bad. You just wanna cry and hide and save your face from the crowd. But sometimes life makes you see the beauty in you and me. When you look up above, there is God and there is love. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new. We're here to help you see the newness of life. We're here to help you feel your hope is so real. You've got the power to see. We'll help you see the new you. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you.
The new channel. The new channel.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following show are those of the hosts, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the new channel. We're here to help you see the new you. My name is Michelle Mras, and welcome to Mental Shift. Well, good evening to the United States and to the Philippines. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. My name is Michelle Mras, and you're watching Mental Shift. Today, we're on episode 17, and my guest is an activational speaker, health and wellness expert, founder of MindBody Works. MindBody Works gives you proven, practical, and powerful tools to build healthy lives and workplaces. So she believes and then works in the area of injury prevention and health promotion, and she's been in it for over 2 decades. Her goal is to assist companies and individuals in achieving greater personal and organizational health and safety while having fun. And her speaking, she's a speaker, involves education with entertainment, covering serious health conditions that affect stress, repetitive strain, injuries, and burnout. And then she believes that discover the power of your mind and body so that you can make the rest of your life the best of your life. Please welcome my friend, Sylvia Marusyk. Where are you?
Here I am. Thank you.
So, Sylvia, where are you streaming in from?
I am smack in the middle of Canada in a province called Manitoba, in a city called Winnipeg, and we are finally edging our way slowly out of the deep freeze. I think we had +4 today Celsius. It was beautiful.
Good.
Yeah, people are wearing shorts.
Now, I wanted Sylvia on the show because I met her right about pandemic time, didn't I?
Yes.
We were introduced by a mutual friend, Gary Barnes, and he said, "You have got to meet Sylvia." He said the same to you about me. And Sylvia and I are, I like to say, sisters from another mister, because there were so many things that aligned with us. And what she does in helping people understand their bodies and the importance of being happy at everything. Now, what I wanted to really talk about is it's really your journey. What was your mental shift that brought you into this world of being an activational speaker, health and wellness expert? Because you have a lot of background and you could have stayed in that medical field like you did, but you shifted. Yeah. What brought you out of that? What brought you? Tell us a bit of your story.
Yeah, for sure. So, everybody has, an aha moment, or I shouldn't say everyone, but many of us do. And so for me, it was recognizing as I was growing up, my mother had a lot of health issues. And I think primarily it was because of the stress that she experienced living with my father. He was a very abusive man and very troubled. And I watched my mother's health decline quite rapidly over, several years. And she was very young when she passed away of cancer at 66. And so at the time I was working in palliative care and I was working in a medical hospital and I was providing care for very, very sick people. And a very short time after she died, within a few years, I started to have my own series of health issues. I was working as an occupational therapist, and what I realized at that time was that my life and my health conditions were mirroring my mother's, and that they were probably stress related. And I began to wish that I could work on the prevention end. And fast forward a few years later, I was successful in getting a job in a clinic that was very health and wellness focused, very prevention focused. And I felt like I had found my thing. But I wasn't quite satisfied still because I was treating sick people and helping them to prevent from getting ill again. And what I really wanted to do was get farther upstream and work on prevention. And that's how I ended up becoming a professional speaker.
You had to reach the masses, right?
Right.
We've got a couple of people who say hello. My co-host on Denim and Pearls is saying, hey. And Helene Wilson says, hello, Michelle. And hello, Sylvia. And then we also have Anjali, sorry. She says, hi, Michelle. And she says, Sylvia, your work sounds awesome.
Oh, thank you. I am very blessed to do what I do. That's for sure.
We're blessed for you to do what you do. We need more people like you, more out there, because it's really about prevention. That's one of the things that connected you and I, was that we both had major health scares that went, okay, I was watching what I was doing and I still got sick, you know, that kind of thing. And so to have someone out there who's educating people, and not just individuals, but corporations, to help make sure that the stress of their corporation isn't taking people out. I mean, you are helping the bottom line in corporations so that they keep that health up, so that they don't have all that medical thing coming in, or loss of time with work and things of that nature. What you do is phenomenal.
Thank you. It is really such a blessing to be able to do it. It is my calling. It is my purpose on this planet, and it's what lights me up. I mean, there's so many different things that you and I could do with our backgrounds, but focusing on this prevention piece and bringing well-being and hope, you know, that's the other thing is hope is such a vital part of well-being. And when you don't have hope, you've pretty much lost all of it, right? You've got nothing. There's really nothing to motivate you. But if you have hope, that's the beginning of everything. And so you and I are so privileged to be able to be in a position to be hope brokers and to give people some tools to help make their life better. It's really a gift.
I like that, hope brokers.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I'm loving that you do on social media, that you've been doing on Twitter and things like that, is what's your line?
I'm testing positive.
She is testing positive. And it's just awesome because people need to remember that, yes, chaos happens, but good happens. So find the one positive thing. And that's one of the things that Sylvia and I also connected on, is we're both incredibly positive human beings. We will find the gold nugget in the darkest of storms, and it helps us move through our lives. That's why we inspire. That's why we help, in you kids, activational speakers. Why do you call yourself an activational speaker? People need to hear that part.
Yeah, I can share that. I think I'm the only activational speaker that I've ever heard of, and the reason I chose that word is because when you think about so many speakers who do what we do are referred to as motivational speakers, and there's nothing wrong with that. My God, the world needs motivation, and we need people that have these incredible stories of having overcome unbelievable things. And as much as I love that, I knew that I was different because oftentimes you will hear a motivational presentation or a speech and you'll think, wow, that's so great. I really love that. I really feel great. But you don't know what to do with that. So you've heard this amazing story, but it doesn't really relate to you because you haven't ever climbed, Mount Kilimanjaro, or you're not an Olympic athlete. So maybe you don't feel connected to the story in the same way, but you know that it was an hour of feel good stuff. I wanted to take that concept and take it a step further and help people find the action step to take to change their life. So hence the term activational. Every presentation I do is a call to action. Now that you know this, and here is the tool to use, or the many tools, what will you do with this information?
Well, and with your background, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, your background was having people move. And so activational is the perfect word to describe. I always argue with my podcast partner because I say, I am not a motivational speaker. Motivation comes from the inside. I'm an inspirational speaker because once I leave them, if I haven't inspired them to become motivated on their own, it's gone. Right. So that's why I love that you call yourself an activational speaker, because you give them tools to keep moving. I give them tools to keep thinking.
Yes. Oh, it's beautiful. I love that. That's so complimentary. And, my background as an occupational therapist has really set me up to have that sort of a framework, because occupational therapists always like to give very practical tools to their clients and patients. So this just fits with what I do, with my framework, with my perspective on life. It's all about taking the steps to move forward. It's not just about sitting there going, wow, I really want to change. You need to know what to do, and you need to take those steps.
Yeah. I love it because you're like me. I was sneaking through your website. Your website is sylviaspeaker, right? .com.
Well, you can get to it that way, and you can also get to it through mindbodyworks.ca.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mindbodyworks.ca.
.ca. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you can leave her other website up unless you want to type it up. That's great. They're changing your website on the bottom.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So what's
Thank
really
you.
cool about that is you are like me. I see in all your pictures, you're in there, you're moving through the audience, or you're walking through the warehouse, and you are part of the people. You're not standing on some stage doing, just listen to me and this is what I do. You're out there with them and say, okay, let's do this. How do you feel? Why do you move? I love that. I love that you are activating while you're doing the activation.
Yes. And that's one of the wonderful benefits of being an occupational therapist and keeping my license to practice while I am, touring or in this case Zooming these days. I also have a side branch of my business where I'm still working as an occupational therapist in manufacturing, production, healthcare, and I'm working alongside injured workers to help them. And these might not just be physically injured workers, there might be psychological or emotional or stress injuries as well. But I'm working alongside them and trying to help them figure out better ways of working so that they're not hurting themselves, or so that they give their bodies and their minds and their hearts an opportunity to heal while they work. And one of the biggest issues is the effect of stress on safety, because when employees are stressed, the frontal lobe of the brain goes, I like to call it offline. So in essence, what's happening is the primitive part of the brain getting the blood flow because you're in fight or flight, you're in a stressful situation. And in that state, workers don't make good decisions. We tend to be unable to problem solve and to troubleshoot and to organize our thoughts and to seek connection when the frontal lobe isn't operating or getting enough blood flow. And when we are in fight or flight and we are at work, the safety impact of not being able to access all of the resources of the frontal lobe is huge. So my job is to make sure that workers are managing their stress well so that when they show up to work, all parts of the brain are working. They can troubleshoot, they can problem solve, they can negotiate what's going on, they can seek help when they need it. They're organized and they're present. That is so critical, not just for their safety, but for the safety of everyone around them. So I love having that hands-on kind of feet in the trenches branch of my business where I can really have an obvious impact. When you give a presentation, Michelle, you don't always know who's taking what from your presentation. But when you're working alongside the injured worker and you go back a week later and they say, I was doing those things that you told me to do and I feel 100% better. Well, there you go. That's just gold right there. So I love that I can still do that.
That's phenomenal. And you're actually making me a little nervous because, my frontal lobe doesn't work, right?
Well, I think your frontal lobe has done a pretty amazing job of compensating for all the things that you've been through. It's amazing how plastic the brain is.
It's amazing. But when you're like, the frontal lobe, I'm like, mine's dead. Mine stopped working with my brain injury. I'm like, do I need more help? But no, it rewired itself.
Yes. And the brain does rewire itself, which is why the gratitude practice is so important. Gratitude actually rewires the brain, changes the neural circuitry in your brain so that if you're one of those people that always tends to think negative, practicing gratitude for as little as a few weeks will actually shift you into becoming more positive because your brain has changed. It's remarkable. The brain is very flexible and capable of rewiring itself.
I love it. Well, and that's one of the other things we bonded on. You and I are we're the ones that can be walking through in a complete thunderstorm with lightning and huge raindrops and floods and do, wow, isn't this moisture refreshing?
Yes, yes. The flowers are so happy. But what's interesting about that, Michelle, is that you and I are not rose-colored glasses people. We're not positive for the sake of being positive. We're not positive and denying what's going on in reality. We are intentionally positive. And that is what the whole testing positive thing was about for me. Because as you know, I was diagnosed with cancer completely unexpectedly right at the beginning of COVID last year. And so before I went public with this, I did not tell anybody except my closest family and friends. I started this testing positive posting every day. The testing positive was a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek way of saying, you know, everybody's terrified to test positive for COVID, but sometimes it's great to test positive. But it was my personal therapy. It was my attempt to be intentional every day about how I show up in the world, no matter what the diagnosis was, no matter what my treatment was, no matter what my level of fear was. That was my therapy. And I went public with it in April. I was diagnosed in January, went public with it in April once I knew what the diagnosis was for. Like every day in meditation, I asked, what am I supposed to do with this? What's the learning? What's the teaching? How am I supposed to use this to help people? And I didn't get an answer until the end of April. And once I got my answer, then I told people. I had to wait a long time.
And I'm laughing that you also did the same thing I did when I found out I had breast cancer. I started Wednesday Wisdoms, and I was
beautiful.
And every Wednesday I would come on and I would just talk about whatever was coming through my head. So it was the same thing. It was a processing of what's happening or the fears that were going through my head. I would say, well, what about this? How are you thinking? You know, how would you think? And I would look at it from multiple sides as I'm talking to everyone else. It was like I was able to process more efficiently, like I was coaching other people.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So yes, think about that. If you're going through things, you might want to start, testing positive.
Yes.
Or sharing some wisdom of whatever you're going through, because that's what I do. I would read and then I would share. Read and then I'd share. Right. And it was part of my self-therapy. It was me finding the light in whatever was going on. And from doing that, it helped other people. And then it helped this show develop even more on as a podcast. And now it's an internet TV.
And
so
it's the ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You
and
never
it
know.
begins with something as simple as not waking up in the morning and saying, I wonder how this day is going to go. But waking up in the morning and saying, this is how my day is going to go. Because that's what I'm going to make it.
Choose it. Yeah.
Choose it.
You choose your morning. And Helene wants me to sing. I don't know if I can do that today, right now, Helene. But I will figure out a way to sing tonight. I will figure out a song to put in just for you, okay? Yes, Anjali, you have got to meet Sylvia. You're meeting her right now, but you can meet her online and follow her. Really,
absolutely.
She is amazing, an amazing woman. When I met her, I kept telling her, I want you on my show. I want you on my show. I want you on my show. And then everything kept. I did. As soon as I got the show, I said, I want you on my show. And then something happened with my computer. I lost my entire computer. I lost my calendar. I lost every date. I lost Sylvia in my computer. And then when this show was coming up, when I called her and we got her back on, this morning you said, I see another date.
Yes.
Right?
Actually, it was yesterday, I think. Yeah.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
So whatever it was, she wasn't supposed to come on earlier. She was supposed to come on today. And so right. I believe, and so does Sylvia, we believe that things happen in the time they're supposed to happen for a reason. And so when everything fell apart and like, I really wanted you on the show, I don't know. And now she's here because she's supposed to be here.
Exactly.
Because the people who are watching right now need to meet Sylvia. I mean, activational speaker, health and wellness expert. She's an occupational therapist by degree, by past, or her 2 decades of it. But being able to help people prevent the injury in the first place. That's what we all are about. so much of our lives are living in, in reaction mode. What
Yeah.
Sylvia trains is to be proactive, look at it from the beginning and say, what can happen? Okay, then let me prevent that from the get-go. And if you're watching this show right now, I encourage you to share this right now. Share the live, because Sylvia has not started yet. She's still answering my questions. So share this live feed, because Sylvia's got so much information and people need to connect with her, because in this world of COVID, in this time of heavy stress, our bodies at a cellular level are being affected by the stress. It will show its ugly head later. We don't see it right now because we're still in stress mode. Right, Sylvia? We're in stress mode. So as things start loosening up, our bodies are going to do, wait a minute, I've been sick I don't like this. And then you're going to get sick. So Sylvia, can you talk about that stress and how it affects us in the body? And then, let's not do that now.
Okay.
Let's go to commercial, and then we'll come back and you will explain about that internal stress that's on the cellular level and how it affects our bodies. How about that?
You bet I will. Yeah.
Okay. So everyone stay still. Don't leave us. Go share the feed right now. Sylvia, don't leave me. We'll go to our first break and we'll be right back with Mental Shift. So my name is Michelle Mras. Stay tuned. Welcome back. My name is Michelle Mras, and you are watching Mental Shift. Tonight, my guest is Sylvia Marusyk from MindBody Works. Please bring on Sylvia.
Hello.
Hello. Well, please, as we were talking earlier about how stress works on the body, and how sometimes it takes a bit for it to process through all the cells. And you were going to tell us about how stress takes time. It doesn't happen immediately, that it takes time and it affects us in other ways. Can you explain more about that? Because I don't think people realize that I was stressed out, but I'm better now.
Right.
But it's still there.
Right. So this is so important, especially right now, Michelle. There's never been a time in our history, where understanding the effects of stress could ever have been as important as it is right now. Because prior to COVID, we all had the stressors that we had, right? We had Some of us are in the sandwich generation where we're looking after elderly parents and young children. Some of us have workplace stress. Some of us have financial stress. Some of us have stress with our kids. Some of us have all of that. Some of us have chronic health conditions. And there were so many things that we were buried under, and then COVID hit. Mm-hmm. And now we add the stress of a pandemic and the constant worry and fear of getting sick, or the constant worry and fear that this isn't even a real thing, because there are people that believe that too. Doesn't matter where your beliefs are, doesn't matter what your political leanings are, we are all in this stress response. And what we predict, what medical professionals and healthcare professionals have been predicting, and what I predicted last year at the beginning of the pandemic, was that if this pandemic went on for much longer, we were going to see unprecedented numbers of depression, anxiety disorders, suicide, PTSD, right? So within 12 to 18 months of this pandemic, that's what's going to happen. And we need to get ahead of the curve and start helping people now to prevent that from happening. And why we need to do that is because stress is a little bit, the effect of it can be a little bit like a slow fuse. So when we have one big stressor, you know, heaven forbid you lose your job, the human body has resources that it will use to help you deal with the effect of that stress. If it's one stress, we rally resources and we mostly do quite well. It's the chronic stress that we don't do well with because we never get a chance to recover. So I want you to imagine the deer grazing in the meadow. The predator is coming for it. It goes into what we call the fight or flight response. It runs for its life, and it will either outrun the predator or it will succumb. The predator will outrun it. One way or the other, it doesn't go on forever. But imagine if that deer had to outrun this predator, and then another predator was right behind that, and another one behind that, and another one behind that, and this went on for months. That deer is going to be exhausted. And the state that many of us are in, most of us are in right now, is exhaustion. We are in survival mode. We're just putting our feet one in front of the other every day and just trying to get through the day. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, some of us are going to start to feel a little bit better. And we're going to think, the stress, some of us are going to go back to work, right? Some aspects of our life are going to go back to normal, whatever that is. And we're going to go, we're okay. I'm having a good day today. I'm eating better. I'm getting a little exercise. Now I'm thriving again. And all it takes is one guy to cut you off in traffic and you are, boom, right back into that stress response because you are not yet in thriving. You are still just trying to survive. We humans accommodate to a crazy amount of stress. So much stress that we don't even know we're stressed until the system breaks down. And what we know is that most illnesses and diseases have a link to too much stress. And the link happens via the elevation of our stress hormone, our major stress hormone called cortisol. And when we produce too much of it over too long of a period of time, we develop cancer, diabetes, heart disease, substance abuse disorders, eating disorders, anxiety disorders, you name it. And so what I like to do is work with people, especially in workplaces. Now, why? Are they the most stressed? Here's what the research in North America shows. In North America, the two main stressors that people report are basically the same stressor. It's work and finances. That's their number one stressor. So doesn't it make sense to help people when they're at work to get into workplaces, teach them stress management tools that they can take home and use with their families? But this will allow them to manage their workplace stress, but also show up, not be absent, not experience presenteeism where people show up every day, but they're not really doing their jobs. We're preventing stress leaves, which in Canada cost over $50 billion a year. Wow. So by working with people at work, we can tackle lots of these issues all at the same time. And so that's why I love to work with companies who are progressive enough to say, yeah, you know what? We should help our employees deal with their stress.
I love that I love that whole concept of what you do there, is because if you've got the entire company on board with that, one, that's a company that cares.
Yeah.
And that would show me personally, that's a company I want to work with. One that is willing to take care of their people before they get sick, not complain when they get sick.
Right.
I know when I first went into the world after my college degree thing, we were all talking about things that were going on. And there was one company I worked with that had a whole exercise program. And it was all about movement because they were trying to prevent sickness. And when COVID hit, I think I told you about it, with everybody sitting on their butts looking at computer screens, there are going to be a lot of people who the only exercise they got was because they walked from their house to their car, from their car through the parking lot to work. And when they're all sitting still, we're going to have an increase in back pain and knee pain and, neck pain and headaches and eye strain. And there's just so many other things. We're going to have a whole new demographic on Zoom stress. They're going to probably call it Zoom something,
Yeah.
because of all of this screen time that people are doing, that we don't realize how much stress this puts on our bodies. So like with me, with my traumatic brain injury, I do recognize when the lights on the computer are coming at me. Okay. So when I get tired, I start seeing the lights coming off the screen, not just the color, what we're supposed to see, but all the lights.
Oh.
And so your brain starts seeing that kind of stuff, and at some subconscious level, it's affecting you. So for those of you who are out there doing, I'm fine with this Zoom thing. Yeah, it's tiring, but it's tiring because it's actually your brain is registering everything that comes off that computer screen. So take a hand out from what Sylvia says. You've got to move it. You've got to groove it, right?
Got it.
You've got to move. So whatever you do, wherever you are, whatever situation you're in, one, you need to follow Sylvia. Go to mindbodyworks.ca.
Yeah.
Okay. Go there and follow what she does, because maybe you can bring her into your company, because we are opening up more and more each time. You're in Canada. You're not going anywhere right now, but you'll be able to come out, and Zoom meetings are still happening. You can still do your presentations like you're doing anyways. But to find out more about what she does, because this whole pandemic has affected us on a far larger scale, mentally and physically, than they have anticipated. No one's talking about it yet, but they will in 2020, end of 2021 and 22. They're going to we've got these new illnesses. It's going to come because all of this sitting is getting us. And all of the screen time is getting us. And Sylvia, you're going to be a very high demand person into companies, because they're going to need people like you to help them realize how to lower the stresses in our lives, even if it's as simple as sitting in your chair and doing this every once in a while,
Absolutely.
Get the blood moving.
Yes.
Because stress. We're both breast cancer thrivers.
Yeah.
And it's because we had things happen in our lives. You were an incredibly healthy human, and it still happened to you. I was not an incredibly healthy human, and it still happened. So it was something else. Something else was happening in us. And your goal and my goal, we have the same goal, but different methodologies, is to get into your minds and help you realize that it's you. It's your choice. It's what you feed your brain, what you feed your body. It's not just food, what you feed your body, okay? It's thoughts. And that's why she tests positive. If you go online, find her post of, I'm testing positive today. Yeah. Because you've got to learn how to see good things when bad things are happening. Because life is life, humans are humans, and chaos happens, and bad things happen to good and bad people. So you have to be able to realize that just because it's happening doesn't mean it has to continue to happen. It's a choice on how you look at it, and then how can you figure things out around it. I mean, you're looking at two breast cancer thrivers. I say thrivers.
Yeah.
Because bad things happen. I mean, with Sylvia, it happened right in the middle of the pandemic, for goodness sakes. So
Yeah.
You've got to be able to see life in a different way and say, you know what? She could have went, oh, woe is me. The world shut down. I'm by myself, and shut back. But what she did is she pulled out of her toolbox of thoughts and said, what can I do to make this better? How can I make everyone else's lives better while I'm fixing myself? Let's test positive and help me while I help everyone else. What can you do in your world? What can you do around in your circles to make the world a little bit better? When you make your world better, everything becomes better.
That is so true. Like change your words, change your world. And the words are the words that you speak to yourself and the words that you speak to others. And you know, Michelle, when I talk about testing positive, I just want to reiterate that I'm not pretending at any point in time when things are difficult. I'm not pretending that they're not difficult. I'm not pretending that I wasn't scared about having surgery and about radiation and all of those things. I never pretended that I wasn't scared of those things. Testing positive means that you are able to, with intention, create something good for yourself every day while you are acknowledging what is difficult and stressful. And the reason you have to acknowledge those things, the reason you do have to talk about it and say, you know, yeah, I am scared about this, or yes, I am angry about this, or yes, I am fearful of that, is because our issues live in our tissues. If you pretend everything's fine all the time, put that fake smile on your face and just tell everybody, yeah, I'm great. That's not real. And what you're doing is shoving down the pain. That does not help. You know, in 1996, my whole life just fell apart. My mother died unexpectedly. A week prior to that, I was in a very serious motor vehicle accident. I wasn't the driver, but the vehicle I was in rolled twice. My baby was hanging upside down. You know, then my mother died. Then my brother went to jail. Then my husband's grandmother was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was sick. I lost a child some months later while I was pregnant. Like, it was just an awful, awful year. And, you know, I developed strep throat, which I had for an entire year. I would get better on the antibiotics. I'd be off antibiotics for 2 or 3 weeks, then I'd be right back on them again. I had strep continuously for 12 months. Went to a surgeon, wanted to take my tonsils out. I had the surgery booked, and a week before the surgery, I canceled it. I backed out. I've never had strep throat since. And so the question is, why did I have strep throat? Well, that entire year, all I did was swallow my pain, swallow the fear, swallow the anger, swallow the desperation. Like, I swallowed all of it. I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell anyone about it. I just pretended that I was fine, and it made me sick. And after I got sick with strep throat for a year, then I got sick with depression because I still wasn't dealing with it. So I am never going to tell you, just look on the bright side. What I'm going to say is, work through the tough stuff, talk about it, feel it, let it go, let it move through you, and focus on the stuff that is good in your life to help you move forward. And one of the questions one of my colleagues always asks that I just love is, there is a way to use negative thinking positively. And that is by asking the question, what's not working right now in my life? What's out of balance? What's not feeling right? What do I need to do differently? What's not working? That is such a beautiful way to find a positive path forward.
What's not working? I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And I completely agree, because I think I told you about this. When I got sick, I really believe it was because I was holding everything in. And so when people ask me, so how do you feel? I will tell you, even with a smile, I did it tonight. I feel horrible.
You told me.
What?
Yes.
I tell people exactly, no frontal lobe. but really, that's it. It's, you should know. I mean, the sparkle's not in my eye, or whatever it is, so that we can communicate on the right level, on our level. So like tonight, what you're talking about, I now know why you weren't on my show earlier. I needed to hear you tonight. I'm holding back. I'm tired. I've been on Zoom calls since COVID started, at least 4 or 5 a day. And sometimes my calls start at 4 in the morning because I do a lot of work in India and Pakistan and now the Philippines from 4 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. And I think my body's like, enough. My brain is like, I'm done. I want you to stay down in the dark. Stop. And so it's making my eyes hurt because it doesn't want me to see this anymore. It wants me to back off.
Yes.
Right?
And
it's my eyes.
The symptoms are a language,
mm-hmm.
right? The symptoms that we have, that we develop as a result of the stress in our life, they are all a language. And the analogy I use in one of my presentations is a small child that wants to get your attention will gently tug on your sleeve. And if you ignore the child, it will tug harder. And what happens if you continue to ignore the child? It will hit the floor and have a temper tantrum. And so when we have symptoms that are now screaming instead of whispering, we have been ignoring that for too long. And the symptoms will always give us a clue as to what we've been missing. So for me, the throat, I was swallowing too much. For you, the eye strain.
My eyes.
What are you not seeing? You're not seeing that it's time to take a break,
mm-hmm.
right? Hip pain, you're struggling to move forward on a decision, for example, right?
It's really strange. Examine your pain, people.
Yes.
If you're out there, if something's bothering you, examine it and really ask yourself, get quiet and say, what is this really trying to tell me? Because I'm sitting here right now talking to Sylvia. I went, no wonder. I mean, I have a sinus infection. I feel no other symptoms except that my ears don't want to work and my eyes are just in so much pain. And the doctor's like, well, you've got to have a fever. You've got to do this. Do you have any of these other symptoms? I said, no, I feel like I'm underwater and I can barely hear and my eyes are killing me. And he has, well, here's some antibiotics and here's this and here's that. And I said, none of this is working. It's because I'm still doing it.
Right.
My body's like, this is not going to work till you stop. You need downtime.
Right. You just missed the message, right? The message was stop, take a break.
Stop.
Yeah. Yeah. The human mind body is just miraculous. This is why my business is called MindBody Works, because we are not a mind and a body. We're a mind body. It's one thing. It's just one thing. This is one entity. And some people would say there's a soul in there too, or a heart in there too. And we can add that, but it's really one entity. And so when the body is not in harmony or balance, it affects our mind. When our mind is preoccupied with something terrible or uncomfortable or stressful, the body isn't functioning properly either. So there's this synergy between our mind and body, where whatever happens in one area happens in the other. It's like an ergonomic assessment. When I do ergonomic assessments, and I even do them by Zoom, you change one thing, it changes everything, right? If I change the hip to back angle for someone, it changes where their knees are, where their ankles are, where their shoulders are, even where their head is positioned. It's the same thing in the whole mind-body configuration. As you change anything in the body, it affects the mind and vice versa. So we really need a holistic approach to managing stress. We need to feed the body differently. We need to feed the mind differently. And we need to remember that our issues live in our tissues. So we need to work those things out. We need to release them. And one of the best ways to get in touch with your mind body and what's really going on, what is the message of your pain, is to do exactly what Michelle said. Get quiet. You can't hear anything from your mind body when you are in a loud, noisy, or anxiety-provoking environment. So this is my plug for meditation. I do it every day, every morning. It doesn't have to be 2 hours of meditation with astral travel, like transcendental meditation and astral travel to India and back, you're returning next Thursday. It doesn't need to be that. It needs to be just a few moments of quiet. And one of my favorite things to tell people who are just starting is just go for a mindfulness walk.
Yeah,
just go for a short walk and try to activate each of your senses. So what do you see on your walk? What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you taste? What do you smell? Simple. 5 minutes. It's like a reboot.
And I told people, if you can't go outside, because we're in Colorado and Canada, kind of cold.
Yeah.
I say make a nice warm bath and put some essential oils in and lay in the warm bath and feel everything, just go through your senses. And you can, it helps. It's another kind of reset. But I believe there's a lot of growth with setting with the grounding.
Yes.
But water does the same thing. And I get a lot of grounding through water. It's why I like to soak in water, which is why I'm really confused. I lived in Colorado and there's no water around me, but that's what I do. Sylvia,
beautiful.
Don't leave us. We have our break 2 coming up. And when we come back, we'll talk more about what you do. More about what you do in companies and for individuals. And then we'll leave them with a final thought of how they can help themselves and then how they can find you. Okay?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, stay tuned, everyone. Don't leave us. We're going on break. My name is Michelle Mras. You're watching Mental Shift. Stay tuned and learn more about TNC and all our live streams. Welcome back. My name is Michelle Mras, and you are watching Mental Shift. Tonight, my guest is Sylvia Marusyk, and she's right out of Canada. But we've been talking about so many different topics right now. And one of them was we talked about how you can be preventative of the stressors in your life, of sicknesses in your life, instead of waiting till you get sick and then try to fix it before it even happens. And that's what Sylvia does. And then right before break, we were talking about how stress builds up in your system and in your body without you even realizing it. And it's important to check on that kind of thing. So before we get back to the show, I'd love for you to listen in on all of the TNC shows that are live streamed to help you see the new you. And the following times are provided all in Philippine time. So stay tuned for all the shows. Please watch all of our live stream shows such as Live Turnaround Stories on U-Turn, Mondays and Thursdays, 10:30 a.m. The Stage is Yours, TNC The Talk, Mondays at noon. Have an Awesome Day, Mondays at 2:30 p.m. The Home Buyer guides you to property, Mondays and Thursdays, 4 p.m. Laugh and Learn with the Puppet Stories, Mondays at 5:30 p.m. Notable personalities and their stories on The Big Picture, Mondays through Fridays, 7 p.m. Listen to The Generation, The Millennial Voice, Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Learn together across borders, Foreign Affairs, Tuesdays at 10:30 a.m. Human Resources and Management on HR Hotline Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at noon. Well Home brings a well life Tuesdays and Saturdays at 2:30 p.m. The journey continues moving on business Tuesdays and Fridays at 4 p.m. Learn from the market leader Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. Money and More Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Philippines, 5:30 a.m. USA. Cybersecurity is key. Cyber Next Wednesdays at noon. Health is Wealth on Healthline Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Coping and Coupling Couple Goals Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Chill and Booze After Shift Wednesdays and Fridays at 8:30 p.m. Your Rights, Your Law Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Emerging and Practical Technologies on TechU Fridays at 2:30 p.m. TNC Marketplace Fridays and Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. Dream, Achieve, Nurture, and Inspire on Danny Art Show Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Celebrate Women at Work 9 a.m. Saturdays. Time to hear positive news on COVID stories Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. The Family Business is Everyone's Business, Saturdays at 4 p.m. Beauty Beyond What Your Eyes Can See, Usapang Beauty, Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. Success Stories on The Fourth Project, Saturdays at 6 p.m. Dubai, 10 p.m. Philippines. Strategize and win in life through Win Within, Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Catch our original shows One Day, TNC Arena, TNC PressCon, and TNC Town Hall, Saturdays at 7 p.m., co-hosted by TNC founders Lloyd and Apple. Town Hall is where we talk to you, our valued audience. Last but not least, it's never too late for Mental Shift, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7:30 p.m. USA, Wednesdays and Fridays, 10:30 a.m. Philippines. Thank you so much for joining me. For more upcoming shows, follow the hashtag TNCNow on Facebook and YouTube. Allow your passion to inspire you, and together let's hashtag see the new you. Welcome back to Mental Shift. My name is Michelle Mras, and tonight my guest is Sylvia Marusyk, and she helps people discover the power of your mind-body so you can make the rest of your life the best of your life. I love that. Please bring back on Sylvia.
Hello.
Hello. No, we've talked so much about how you help people prevent injury before they actually get it, instead of, oh, I'm injured, please help me. And then we moved into the whole mental part of it, because it's a mind body, not a mind and body. They all work together. And right before break, we talked about how your mind, it tells you things. Your body shows you things. It's communicating to you at all times. But in our fast and hurry world, we choose to forget that it does that, or we never knew it does that. So right now, Sylvia just told all of us, your body and your mind are always talking, and it tells you what's happening inside of you. Get quiet and listen. Sylvia says, take a nice walk and use your senses. You could go onto YouTube and Google that and find, mindful meditations or walking meditations. And then I said the same thing. If you can't go outside, go soak in some water, warm water, and do the same thing. Listen to a guided meditation that helps you, or turn it all off and just listen to your body tell you what's going on. Because I heard this whole thing about my eyes and everything, that I'm tired, and I ignored it. I went, no, the show must go on. I must keep going on. There's nothing I can do about that. This is what I do. And what we have to realize is your body will stop you.
Yes.
I learned that the hard way. Sylvia learned it the hard way. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, all these things that I thought could not be done without me, all of these stressors that I said only I can do. I'm the mom. I've got the cape. Dun, 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 and I wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
My body stopped me. And what I realized is that the world will go on without me, but they would rather not.
Yes.
And that made it so much nicer. It's like, I don't have to be there. They want me there. And that's why it's the biggest compliment ever, to realize, yes, you can do it all, but no, you don't have to. People would rather you be there in their lives, healthy and strong, than not in their lives and not doing it.
Absolutely. And the same mechanism by which we create disease, we can create health. We just don't understand that it's the same mechanism. It's all about this mind-body connection. The thoughts that we have, those negative thoughts, have a physiological signature that is attached to each of them. There are physiological changes, harmful changes that happen in the body when we have negative thoughts. For example, we have more C-reactive protein, which is a marker of inflammation. That's one example. We have more cortisol. In the same way, we can change those things so that we produce physiological responses in the body that create health. And so that's the important thing. That's where you and I are at. Yeah, Michelle, you and I both ended up with cancer. Why? Who knows? Maybe there was maybe both of us, I'm not sure what your family history is, but certainly in my family history, there's all kinds of cancer. I'm genetically loaded. But when we manage our stress well, we can actually downregulate those genes and we can upregulate genes for health. Well, you know what? I wasn't able to do that perfectly. And that's okay, because the reason
you're human?
Right. And the reason I was diagnosed with cancer was because I needed to be pushed to another level of development. There was a huge message in this cancer for me. And the message that came to me is, you are powerless. And that's not what I am. It's what I believed. And the reason I believed that is because I was a small child living in an abusive home, trying not to get hit and trying to protect my mother. And I failed every time. I tried and tried and tried, but I was powerless. I failed every time. So what did I grow up believing? I'm powerless. And a powerless person cannot control or cure cancer. So until I unearthed that lie that I brought with me from childhood, the rest of my life was going to be me being powerless at various things. What a powerful message for me. And thank God I learned it at 55. It took me a long time to learn it. And it took getting cancer to learn it.
And that's the whole power of what Sylvia and I do as speakers is don't wait till it's too late. Your mind is a beautiful, beautiful creation, and your body goes along with it. So as we wrap up our show tonight, Sylvia, yes, it's been a whole hour already. As we wrap up our show, I want you to think about whatever you heard with Sylvia and I talking tonight. Go to her website, go to mindbodyworks.ca, learn more about what she does, and perhaps bring her into your company. She can do a virtual call and do a whole conference with all of you, because it's important to find what's making you sick before you ever get sick. The other thing is, remember that your brain is very powerful and it is speaking to you through your body. So if you need to get quiet to find out what's going on in you, get quiet. It's a choice in your world. So I better wrap it up. Sylvia, thank you so much for joining me on Mental Shift. And everyone out there in the world watching us, please like and share. Share this with a friend. Subscribe onto our YouTube channel, and our Facebook page would be amazing. Or come follow me on michellemars.com. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us and for having such a wonderful conversation in the comments with us. Sylvia, you rock. I look forward to our doors opening so I can go visit you in Canada. And, maybe you could come down and do one of the conferences on my stage too.
Yeah, I'd love that. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, well, everyone out there, have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope you join us again on Mental Shift. We are live every Tuesday and Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, or every Wednesday and Friday at 10:30 a.m. Philippine time. Find your time zone in there and come join us, come say hi, and be the best version of you. Be unapologetic. Remember, you choose what happens and what you do with you. Have a great night, everyone, and until next time, good night.